This video is for business leaders who want to be or teach others how to be more ambitious and motivated. This is actually part 3 in a series that I'm calling the C.L.O.N.E.s series, and you're going to have to go watch the first one to find out why. So in particular, being energy conserving was an adaptive advantage for our ancestors. And this is the, okay, I'll give you this much of a hint. This is the L part of the C.L.O.N.E. Basically what it did is it allowed our ancestors to live long enough to find their next meal in a world of abundant danger and scarce food. But now, as food is abundant and danger is scarce for the vast majority of us, the vast majority of the time, is not doing our success, health, waistlines, or anything else any favors. While we're stuck with the default evolutionary bias towards what this is. Now, let's go back for a second here, because energy conserving is really just a nice way of saying lazy. I chose to say it that way, but I was also going to put in the euphemism because that's really what it is by nature we are lazy, not because we're bad, not because we're amoral or have bad characters, but because our genetics from our ancestors were, if you save energy and only use it when you need to, you will survive long enough to have your next meal and to have babies. And we have inherited that whether we like it or not. So while we're stuck with the default, the evolutionary default that we've inherited, it's not destiny. We have both the responsibility and the choice, that is the ability to choose differently if we want to improve or change anything in our business or personal lives. This is really a lot about responsibility. So what this comes down to is willpower or grit may not be sexy, but it works. And it's actually these things, willpower and grit, are some of the most accurately measured, most validated scientific predictors of success ever recorded in the social sciences. So while nothing will carry you across the finish line like grit, we're going to add some better practices to increase your ambition or your abilities to be ambitious even further. So we can take literally just what I said, your willpower, but willpower is related to energy actually. So first, select something that you aren't as motivated or ambitious about as you want to be, or same for your reports if that's who you're doing it for. And I really want you to ignore the make it so easy you can't fail BS, because if you want to grow your ambition muscle, it has to be in that Goldilocks challenge. It has to be a Goldilocks challenge or in the Goldilocks challenge zone. That is, it has to be genuinely challenging enough to be a struggle for whoever is doing it, to challenge their natural level of ambition, and yet easy enough so that they can do it every day. That is, that they can maintain the habit of doing this thing that is ambitious or takes ambition for them to do on a daily basis. To build your own ambition, to build the ambition of others, you have to challenge that current level of ambition precisely the same way you would have to do it if you were trying to build a muscle. So next, what you have to do is you need to get extremely specific on how to do this. That is, by applying your ambition to something concrete you can act on immediately. This has to be something, because we can't say, I'm just going to practice ambition. Well, ambition is about motivation. And really what that means is you have to apply your ambition or your motivation to something specific with which you've struggled with. If you want to increase that muscle, you have to work on that muscle within the context of a specific task. So then from there, what you need to do is, we'll use exercise as an example, since it's basically one of the most universal, the other one being food. and I'll talk about that one tomorrow, why people find this to be some of the most challenging things to do consistently. One of them is exercise. But all of what follows can actually be applied to any case where you want to apply these techniques to your business or personal life. And the first one is make whatever you want to be more ambitious at, whatever you're using to apply ambition to, make it the first thing you do. Nothing should be before it. I'll give you a small exception to that in a moment. But by doing this, nothing can cause you to procrastinate. Nothing can be put ahead of it. As soon as you start putting stuff ahead of it, if you defer it to later, the chances that you won't do it at all increase radically with every passing minute. I know this from experience, but also that's what the science would say too, right? Remember, this is something that you're having challenge doing, that you're struggling to be ambitious with. So it's always easy to find something else to put in front of it. So make sure there's nothing in front of it. As an example, I just broke my own exercise streak after not doing it for a while and getting back on and crushing it for essentially a month. And I broke it by not exercising at 5 a.m. Saturday morning. I was awake. I said, I can do this, but it's like, I don't have to wake up right now. And because I chose not to, and that was a choice, I take responsibility for it. I went back to sleep. I did everything I had to do. And ultimately, I did not do my exercise at all that day. So exercise is kind of an exception in that depending on the intensity and the type of exercise you do, you should take a rest day or sometimes even multiple rest days to fully recover. But virtually everything else can and should be done ideally every single day. 5 days a week is possible, but just be mindful that there's habit breaking power to taking 2 days off. You could do it, but just understand that 2 days off is you're now breaking a continuous chain that you've made for 5 days in a row. Depends on the situation. Just be mindful though that when you do that, anytime you have a break, or you break your habit or your routine, it will take more willpower, which literally takes more energy in the form of glucose, because willpower, shy of being on a ketogenic diet, is fueled by glucose. There's research behind this I can refer to if you reach out to me. I'm not going to put it in the links because it's just not directly relevant enough, but it is. There's multiple supporting research to support this idea. So essentially, to help you climb back on your habit wagon, make a plan to fail. In other words, what you want to do is you want to have a specific plan of action stated in terms like if/then. Yes, like the old basic computer terms. So for example, if I miss a day of exercise, then I will make it my top priority to do it immediately upon waking or immediately after making my protein shake. I will put my running shoes right in front of my bed. I will put my kettlebell right in front of my exit door to my apartment. I cannot pretend that I missed it. Things like that. Make it specific, make it concrete. So if you're going to miss it, you at least own the fact that you're missing it, not you couldn't, or you didn't get around to it, or you forgot. None of that BS. This is a lot about taking responsibility. So keep in mind, it's, at least in my experience, always easier to maintain a good habit than to restart it, even with a small break, though I have restarted good habits hundreds of times over the years, especially with respect to exercise. That said, using effective frames or effective use of frames and mindset are your best friends. I'll cover them tomorrow in Crush It Club 193, which is actually going to be about moderate eating and how it's good for your health, but also for the health of your business. This has been Crush It Club 192. My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.